All right, good evening and welcome to the Utopian Cafe for Wednesday, October 13th, a little primetime edition here as we celebrate Atlanta Braves baseball. I got a special guest with me tonight. Bryan Custard is here. He's the creator of The Battery, Braves Baseball, a group on Facebook that celebrates all things Atlanta Braves. And what a better time to have him on the show as we're celebrating not only the Atlanta Braves beating the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Division Series. They just clinched a spot in the Utopian Baseball Universe Championship Series for the second straight year. The Atlanta Braves will defend their title. So I want to welcome Bryan Custard to the show. Bryan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me, sir.
All right, Bryan. I was just made aware of Bryan's group by a mutual friend named Laura Stone. She reached out to me and said, this guy's got something really cool going on. And I said, let me have it. Let me hear about this gentleman and his group. And I've been a member now for 2 days, and I'm loving everything I'm seeing. Bryan, I want you to tell, we got about 1,000 members here. A lot of them are Braves fans. Tell us about The Battery. How'd you come up with the name? Tell us about the group and everything you're doing with The Battery.
The Battery was a random name. I've always loved the term as a baseball fan. I was a catcher when I growing up, so the Battery was just a cool name, and it coincided with the nice area around the stadium, and it just worked out. So The Battery was the name. We've been around since April. We didn't really do too much until the last couple of days. We've actually started Monday with about 80 members, and tonight we're closing with about 260 members. So 200 people over the last couple of days, throwing tags up everywhere. And essentially it is a group where you can actually share opinions, positive, negative, as long as you're respectful. That's the entire goal. We want to foster debate, challenge, and let everybody know that fandom's different for everybody. Some people are going to be cheerleaders and nothing that happens is wrong. And some fans are going to be a little harsher and say, hey, man, wish you got a hit here, or wish Schnitt would have pulled that guy here. And it's one of those things where we want to harbor those debates and have people have those conversations. We're going to start daily trivia. There will be a random trivia question that I select every day. For everybody to check out the off season. We're actually looking forward to doing weekly lives as well as an entire minor league breakdown. So
Nice.
That's one of the things that I noticed in a lot of Braves groups is there's not a lot of minor league discussion. I'm a prospect hound. I actually will follow the minors more than the major league team sometimes. So what we will do is, we'll break down the individual players, their season, the individual teams, their season. We'll talk about what the trade value is. We'll talk about whether we should keep a guy or trade a guy. I mean, it's a tough question. Any moves made in the offseason, we'll also discuss those. So it's going to be a fun time.
How long have you been a Braves fan?
I've been a Braves fan since 91. And 91, I was 6 years old, and man, that team just captured me. I actually, my entire family's from Texas, and we were all Texas Longhorn fans, and my grandfather's an Astros fan. And initially, I was an Astros fan, just because that's how it goes. But my great-grandfather actually was a Braves fan, and we bought him a Braves shirt when I was about 5. And I asked why we were buying him a Braves shirt, and my mom said, well, TBS is on everywhere, and he's a Braves fan. And of course, the last to first team happened, and I was captured. So from then on out, I've been a Braves fan.
That's usually how they get us at a young age. I think I was 7 or 8 years old when we got cable, and now I am wearing the Braves hat tonight, of course, because we're celebrating Braves baseball here tonight in the cafe. But in 1984, the cable guy, when we got cable, this was May of '84. He highlighted every baseball game in the channel guide because he saw I had my baseball glove. So it was Cubs, Mets, Braves, Cubs, Mets, Braves. And for about 6 years, I watched every Mets game, every Cubs home game, and as much of the Braves as I could. for me, a Saturday night in 1986 consisted of world-class championship wrestling from Atlanta, and World Championship Wrestling from Atlanta, Braves or Mets baseball, and then world class from Texas. Just a night of wrestling and baseball, and so I've been a fan of wrestling ever since. But I've probably seen 1,000 Braves games on TV, and obviously the team left here in the '60s. My grandparents were Braves fans, so there's always going to be a little bit of soft spot, if you will, for Braves baseball. Tell me about this season in particular. I know the Braves were in the championship series last year with the Dodgers, but this season's special. You guys lost to Cunha like halfway through the season. Like a month and a half ago, you were still under 500, a third-place team. And now you find yourselves in the National League Championship Series. How is this city feeling about this team, this very special ride that this Braves team has made?
Oh, man, the Braves fans are playing with house money right now. And the Braves are playing with house money because nobody expected us really to be here. The biggest conversation around the trade deadline was buy or sell. And me, I'm an analytics guy. I said sell. You know, I was ready to trade Charlie Morton. I was ready to trade Travis d'Arnaud. I was ready to trade Drew Smyly for whatever we could get for prospects because it just nothing was clicking.
Yeah.
And it's odd because Acuna going down actually made it click.
Isn't that weird?
It is so weird. It's baseball is so weird. But one of the things that happened was, you know, we picked up Jorge Soler, and what few people knew about Jorge Soler during that time was all his peripheral stats said he was going to bounce back huge. He was hitting like 193, but his hard hit percentage was through the roof, and his BABIP was so low. His BABIP being balls against batting average on balls in play.
Yeah,
way lower than it should have been for somebody whose hard hit percentage was so high. And when we got him, I was like, this might work out. This may actually matter. And Alex Anthopoulos just did an amazing job of compiling and rebuilding an entire outfield. I mean, because don't forget, we lost Ozuna too.
Yeah. We
also lost our best pitcher before the season even started, Mike Soroka. So it is actually absolutely crazy. I mean, Travis d'Arnaud was out for 3 or 4 months. I mean, we were running with a catcher that in the preseason, I was like, you know, he's got a stick, he can do it, but at the end of the day, he's not ready.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely amazing what those guys have been able to do. Jock Peterson is crazy with his pearls and everything else. I mean, he's got everybody excited. I mean, I've been the biggest Brian Snitker critic since the beginning. Because analytically, he doesn't do it for me. He does not. He makes decisions that I'm like, what are you doing? But I think as baseball fans, we tend to ignore the fact that the manager's job is not just to make analytical decisions. His job is also to foster the clubhouse and get the guys to play for you. And while he struggles with analytical decisions, I think he's one of the best in baseball at getting those guys to actually play for him. And the results show. I mean, as much as I'm like, I hate you, I still see the excitement in the clubhouse. I still see what happens, you know, going on with these guys. I mean, they just all play hard.
I think we see something similar here in Milwaukee. Craig Counsell has gotten the Brewers to 4 straight postseasons, but some of his decisions the last couple of years in the postseason are real head scratchers to me. Pulling Freddie Peralta yesterday in a 0-0 game in the 4th inning, to me, just didn't make a lot of sense. It's not like he was wavering or the pitch count was up. They were just, I know, trying to get, you know, scratch a run, and I understand that. But some days I just miss the days of my 9 versus your 9, and let's go. You know, the Morris versus Smoltz, you know,
right.
Going into the 10th inning and kind of stuff. But what can you say? Both managers are getting it done. A second consecutive National League Championship Series for the Braves. As a Braves fan, which team do you want to play in the championship, Giants or Dodgers?
Well, I mean, I shared a meme in the group that basically said, I don't care who it is, catch me outside.
Nice.
So I don't really care. Now, the analytical side of me says Giants. We match up better with the Giants, but the competitor in me says, give me the Dodgers.
You
Give
want
me
the
the team.
rematch.
Yeah, exactly. Give me the team that beat us. I don't care. We have historically been okay against Scherzer, and we've historically been okay against Bueller. But we don't have Acuna sitting around waiting to hit a bomb against a grand slam against Bueller this year. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where it would be fun either way because I would like to. I followed Kevin Gausman since he was a prospect in the Orioles farm. And then, of course, he came to the Braves, and I was like, And he actually pitched really well for us down the stretch, and he's done lights out this year. And, I can't, the Braves fan in me can't, look at the fact that the Phillies were like, oh, Gabe Kapler, you can't manage. And then he goes to the Giants with a terrible team and wins 106 ball games.
Isn't it funny how that works out sometimes?
It's hilarious. It's totally, I like to poke fun at Philadelphia, but, it is what it is. But that just cracks me up that has happened. And Gabe Kapler, as much as I love Snit, as much as all the injuries that we've had this year, Gabe Kapler is the manager of the year for me.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. Now, do you find yourself in the American League? We got Red Sox, Astros. Do you find yourself still on occasion kind of rooting for the Astros or keeping an eye on them, or what's that like?
The Astros died for me the day Jeff Bagwell retired. That was my player. But I mean, I can't say that as a prospect guy that I haven't followed them. I mean, a few years ago when they were going through their rebuild, I was really, really impressed at the type of prospects that they went after, the way they manipulated the draft pools and picked up extra guys. And I'm a huge fan of Driveline, and they were one of the first teams to get on the Driveline and to understand spin rates and to understand how the ball moves and how the ball spins and what pitches that you need to throw in sequence. I mean, they're the first ones that came out and said, well, you don't necessarily have to throw your fastball as your most dominant pitch. Throw your best pitch is your most dominant pitch. And that to me was lights out, because you see a guy like Lance McCullers, and all of a sudden he is throwing his curveball 40% of the time. You're like, why is he throwing his curveball 40%? Well, spin rate is crazy, and he's getting a lot of swings and misses. So they pitch backwards, which a lot of old school guys will understand. Pitching backwards is using, of course, your secondary pitches for your fastball pitch, for your first pitch, your fastball, and they really, really, really dove deep into those analytics and got the best of a lot of guys. I mean, Verlander was left for dead in Detroit. I mean, everybody was like, he's on his last legs. He's not going to make it. All of a sudden, oops, I am. Joe Cole, same way. All of a sudden, he's 9 years, $324 million. With the Pirates, we would have moments. He'd have these moments where you're like watching him, you're like, oh my God, this guy really can pitch good if he ever get some consistency. And they really drove it down with that. So I mean, I trash cans and all. I can't say that that doesn't come up, but trash cans don't help you pitch the baseball. And a lot of guys, I really have more so enjoyed the way they've revolutionized pitching, the way they've revolutionized focusing on that spin rate, focusing on fast or velocity and movement, as well as pitch location and understanding a matchup and pitching to your pitcher's strengths. I think that's really changed a lot of how baseball's gone moving forward, because everybody looked at the Astros and went, how are these guys pitching like this now? they were never like this before, or we thought they were down and out. Greinke's another example, you know. So I kind of do find myself watching the Astros or rooting for them mainly as a baseball fan, because you know that to me, I'm a baseball fan first and a Braves fan second.
Sure.
So,
are you going to be rooting for the Astros against Boston though?
Yes, for my own personal reasons, and all my friends that are watching will know 100% why I'm rooting for the Braves over the Astros over the Red Sox. I would really, really, really like that W to happen, and it has nothing. It has nothing to do with the fact that I was an Astros fan growing up, and absolutely nothing to do with anything other than a very personal reason why I want the Red Sox to lose.
Do you want to share any of that tonight, or?
I cannot. On the folks that are listening, that you know, I actually invited my entire friends list, and I have plugged the Utopian group in our group, and several of them have joined, and all of them will know why.
Bryan Custard's our guest tonight. He's the creator of the Battery Braves Baseball. Bryan, anything fun scheduled content-wise over the next week or so within the group as it relates to the NLCS? Will you be doing any lives, any type of game threads or anything that members can expect in the next 7 to 10 days?
We will do a game thread every single day. There will be a game thread in both our group and our sister group every day for every game. Once you join our group, you'll see the sister group, and you'll know exactly where to go for either one. And we honestly, we're growing together. We all work together. I'm an admin in the sister group. One of their creator is a moderator in my group. So it's one of those things where we work together as far as pulling content, so you can actually see both groups. And you can pick which one you want to be a part of. I mean, or pick which one you want to participate in the game thread on. We have a lot of fun with that. You know, and it's one of those things where we'll do that. We're going to do daily trivia. Today's was, I think it was, who was the first Brave to make it into the Hall of Fame? You got an idea, Joey? Who do you think it is?
You're talking about first Atlanta Brave?
No, first Brave.
First Brave. I would say Spawn.
No. Babe Ruth.
That's a great question.
It's a trick question, because honestly, me and several other guys were thinking Rogers Hornsby, who played one season at second base for the Braves, or Rabbit Merriville, who played very, very, very several seasons for the Boston Braves back in the day. But Babe Ruth twilighted for the Boston Braves at the very end of his career. And honestly, they all got me on that one. I was not happy.
That's a great question, and actually, I'll piggyback on that. Babe Ruth's last 3 home runs hit in Major League Baseball were on the same game in Pittsburgh as a member of the Boston Braves.
It's almost like he said, "Hold my beer, watch this."
Yeah, it was like mid-June too. It wasn't like end of the season. It wasn't like he wasn't getting like a farewell tour. It was like, mid-season game, 3 homers, and then he's like, "Yeah, that's it for me. I think I'm good here." 714 is a number nobody's gonna catch.
Yeah, until another Brave caught it, huh?
Yep.
So I mean, that's a fun question. I mean, we'll have several questions like that throughout for daily. Also, we're planning on weekly lives. I'm going to try to get those done. I've got a couple of other members that are willing to come on as guests. So I mean, it's one of those things where we're going to have fun with that. We're going to have everybody cheering. We have a daily after the game. I'll have a post-game celebration thread.
Nice.
Or I'll have a post-game commiseration thread where you're allowed to be positive or negative. I don't care, as long as you're respectful about it. As long as you and the other members interact with one another in a respectful manner, I don't care. If you think the manager did bad, go for it. We may debate about it, but at the end of the day, as long as everybody's happy and everybody's respectful, we can learn something. and B, we have a good time. I mean, there's no wrong. There's no saying that says we have to agree or disagree, but we do have to respect each other as human beings. That's the goal.
Well, again, I've only been a member of this group now for 2 days, and I already love all the content that I'm seeing from this group. The Battery, Braves Baseball, here with Bryan Custard. Now, Bryan, you told me before the show today that you and your son watched the Braves clinch to beat the Blue Jays to go to the championship series in the Utopian. And I was flattered to hear that I was chosen over Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol.
Yeah.
By a 3-year-old, you got chosen over Paw Patrol.
Now,
he was going, Daddy, for baseball guys.
So it was his decision. He said, I want to watch this.
He was sitting on my lap, and I was watching the feed. And I was like, at first, I was like, I heard about the idea, and I was like, this is a really cool idea, but I want to see it in practice. So I watched yesterday. I watched a couple of innings. I shouldn't have. I was at work, but I watched a couple of innings.
He was on break.
Yes, I was on break. I watched a couple of innings, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing ever." I just really, really got into the idea. So tonight, when the game was on, and I was home with my son, I was like, I'm going to put Paw Patrol on, sit him on my lap, and I want to see what this is all about. And about 2 or 3 innings in, I looked over at him, and he's like staring at my phone. And I'm like, buddy, are you watching the Paw Patrol? He goes, no, Dad, the baseball guys. Yeah. So we turned Paw Patrol off, and we watched the Braves game. It was awesome. I mean, it was a really, really, really cool experience. My son, he's just getting into baseball. And it's like I said, man, that the whole idea, the whole concept is really intriguing to me as a baseball fan, as a historian, and guy that actually studies the game. It was really, really, really cool. I actually have a history degree, and one of my focus was actually the American South and race relations. So I'm really big into the Negro Leagues. I'm really big into how baseball shaped and morphed and the role that it played in shaping race relations inside the United States. So the history of the game is really, really important to me. And seeing the legends play with the current guys, that was a really cool concept to me.
And I'm not sure if you're even aware of this, but back in January, we added every single Negro League Hall of Famer to the rosters. Each team got 1. Some teams got 2. The representative for the Atlanta Braves is a second baseman named Saul White. He backs up Ozzie Albus. And then for the Blue Jays, you probably noticed tonight the center fielder was Willard Brown. He actually led the universe in triples this year with 15. And we had Negro League players this year did wonderfully. Cool Papa Bell led the league in steals. Smokey Joe Williams for the Pirates led the league in strikeouts. Wade Dandridge is playing tonight against Bullet Joe Rogan, who's pitching for the Reds. So we decided actually about a year ago we're going to celebrate this. And then in January, we did I think we did 2 shows where we were basically doing a draft, if you will, where I would announce the player, put the cap on, and every single one, plus Fleet Walker and Buck O'Neill are all on the Utopian Baseball Universe roster. So we're really proud of that as well. As a fan, as a general fan of baseball and as a Braves fan, who would you like to see from this current team maybe added to the rosters going forward?
I didn't really familiarize myself with the roster. So I don't really know who's on it and who's off of it outside of the starters.
So we got, I think from this current team, we got Freeman, Acuna, Albus, Max Fried. That might be it, honestly, from the current team, because it's hard to get at bats with Henry Aaron and Eddie Matthews, Chipper Jones. I think I mentioned before the show, Dansby Swanson is going to be in the universe next year. Paige Thomas Strange is a big Dansby Swanson fan.
Yes,
and when I wished her a happy birthday, she's like, "How did you know I like Dansby Swanson?" And I'm like, "It's just baseball intellect, baseball instinct, I guess." So we'll probably add 2 or 3 next year to an already stacked roster for the Atlanta Braves. But is there anyone you heard all the starters. Is there anyone from the past you think I'm missing?
Well, it depends, because if I was picking the starter at second base, it would be Rogers Hornsby for that one Twilight season.
Sure.
A guy that does not get a lot of love is Daryl Evans. Daryl Evans played hell with third base, and actually has the highest WAR third base Fansgraph WAR third base season in the history of the Braves.
Wow.
Monty Smith is another one that has surprisingly really high WAR for left field. His 89 season, I believe, was almost 10 WAR. Wise, it's nuts looking at that. We looked at a lot of single season stuff during the last off season because we're bored and we're nerds. So we looked at a whole bunch of stuff like that, and we were really genuinely surprised at some of the names that came out and some of the and some of the one-time appearances and different things like that you see. Personally, I'm a huge Fred Mcgriff fan. I think the 94 strike actually screwed Fred Mcgriff out of the Hall of Fame because he missed somewhere, I think it was like 50 some odd games between the 94 strike and the shortened 95 season. And he finished 7 home runs shy of 500.
Yeah, he would have got those.
He would have got those. So that was another thing that we were talking about was with last year with the COVID season was how does them playing a 60-game season not necessarily affect the players today, but how does it affect counting stats and how does it affect everything going forward? Will we in 20 years look back and go, that COVID season kind of screwed him out of a round number?
Yeah.
3,000 hits or 500 home runs. I don't think 300 wins is going to get there anytime soon. And I don't think steals is going to get there anytime soon, but there's a lot of round numbers that still possibly could get there. And that's, one of the things we looked at. But yeah, I mean, Fred Mcgriff is probably my answer. I would pick him over Freddie. I know everybody's going to hate me, but Fred Mcgriff is the man.
Well, I'll tell you, the actual season, the Utopian Universe actually started in March of 2020, but we started building rosters 6 years ago in preparation for this. We didn't know when we were going to start this. We actually decided in December of 19 that 2020 was just a nice round number to start it. And then just ironically with the pandemic, we were the only game in town for about 4 months. But creating the rosters was probably the hardest thing because when I was putting players on different teams, I wanted them to represent the team that I thought of them first. So like Ken Griffey's with Seattle. I put Randy Johnson on Arizona. You had mentioned Rogers Hornsby. I actually have him as the starting second baseman in St. Louis. And in an effort to make each roster as competitive as possible, we made Fred Mcgriff the starting first baseman in Tampa. Look,
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, because if you're a Tampa Bay fan and you're joining the group, I have to, the way we simulate is I want to make sure that everyone is looking at the roster saying, okay, this team has a chance, this team has a chance. But the way we simulate is pretty random. What we do is on opening day, I'll just give an example. Opening day 2021.
Right.
I had 4 people on my show, and we had a trivia contest. And the winner of the trivia contest got to choose a date from history. And they chose the date. And live on the show, I pulled the box scores from that date in history, and I hit shuffle. And I said, all right, every game from this date is being mapped into my schedule, and we're going to share those results daily starting tomorrow. So usually I'm finding out results like an hour before you do. In that case, it was a day before. But that's how we do it throughout the season. And then usually one game a day or 4 or 5 games a week, we simulate on Xbox until we get to the postseason where it's all Xbox. But you could take a team like the Colorado Rockies or the Tampa Bay Rays who have, a 25, 30-year history, and they have the same chance as an Atlanta Braves, a New York Yankees, or St. Louis Cardinals based on how we simulate. I think the biggest draw for the group is the storytelling aspect. Is once we hit the shuffle and all the results have been determined, I go live the next morning and we present the results as if they actually happened. So we had 4 no-hitters this year. We had 6 last year. We had Frank Thomas hit 4 homers in a game last year. We had a walk-off cycle this year. So there's a lot of, it's random, but I think that's what the appeal is that if you're a Texas Rangers fan, if you're a Arizona Diamondbacks fan, you've got the same chance on March 27th as the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Braves. It just so happens that for the second straight year, your Braves are competing in a championship starting a week from tonight. So we'll see. They've got they got to wait for the Padres and Reds. They're going to play later tonight. Who are you going to be rooting for in that series, Padres or Reds?
Hey, man, catch me outside. I don't care. They ain't beat my Braves. The kid in me says the Reds. The historian in me says the Reds. Barry Larkin, when I was growing up, was one of my favorite players. And so I followed the Reds because I liked Barry Larkin. And, of course, living in Atlanta, Dion went over there, and I had Dion shoes and all that, So I actually one of the hardest series for me to watch as a kid was the Braves played the Reds in a playoff series, and I'm like, but Dion, but Barry, but the Braves. So I remember that as a kid, and it was always tough.
A lot of confliction. So Laura Stone is here. She says, "Hey guys, sorry I'm late. Family stuff." She does recognize the Braves are close to a dynasty here in the Utopian. They're now 4 wins away from a second consecutive championship here in the Utopian baseball universe. Bryan, so like I mentioned earlier, you've got 1,000 people watching right now. Tell everyone watching why they should join the Battery Braves baseball tonight.
Tonight, you should join the Braves Battery because, you're going to learn across the entire offseason, instead of hearing who's lineup, who's this, who that, you're going to learn about the entire farm system. I'm going to cover every single prospect that you want. DM me. I don't care. Whoever it is, let me know, and we'll cover them. We'll go over them. The other thing you should do is it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of discussion. You can be positive and negative. You don't have to just be a cheerleader. I do not care if you think Snicker's terrible. Laura knows that. She hates him. So it's one of those things where please, you'll be able to share and be a fan. And I don't care what kind of fan you are. I don't care if you want to be the happy-go-lucky. Just be a fan. It means everything to everybody. You can you can have fun with the weekly. You're going to catch the lives. We're going to go live with guys like Sam Peoples, who is one of the smartest people I know on the planet, as far as knowing baseball inside and out. We're going to go live with historians that study the game and have fun. And we're going to chat back and forth. And at the end of the day, I'm always open. DM me. You want to have fun? You want to go live? Let's do it. I don't care. As long as it fits around the schedule, we're going to have fun and talk baseball. And at the end of the day, that's the goal is, have fun, talk baseball, join the group, and get to know a whole lot of really cool people. And since Laura's watching, I'm still mad at you for not telling me about Utopian before like 2 days ago.
Laura, you're forgiven. Look, everyone's got a busy life. She's not forgiven.
She's not forgiven.
Bryan does not forgive you. I forgive you, but Bryan does not forgive you. Well, Bryan, I hope we see you again on the show very soon. Actually, I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Game 1 of the Utopian Baseball Universe Championship Series is a week from tonight. Obviously, it's going to go between 4 and 7 games. How would you feel about appearing on camera with us for one of those games to do a live reaction to what's going on?
Man, I'm all about it. I was right there with you all game long tonight. I would love to do it. Let me know exactly what day it is so that I can talk to the wife. I got a young son, so I got to get permission. But I would totally love to do it. That
sure.
would be
bring him on too, and I'll get you a schedule. Actually, as soon as the Padres and Red series concludes, which could be as early as tomorrow, depending on the outcome tonight. We're going to get the entire schedule for the championship series. I can tell you it's going to start next Wednesday, but Bryan, so much fun to have you on tonight. I can't wait to have you on again. You have, by the way, and I told Laura this earlier today, you have, and you know these terms as an admin, you have pre-approval posting in the Utopian. If you ever want anything posted, I don't even have to know about it. You can just post away, promote the group every day if you want.
Awesome.
Let's try to build it up. Let's try to get people to join the Battery, Braves baseball. Bryan Custard was our guest. The Braves are in the NLCS. The Braves are in the Utopian Baseball Championship Series. Bryan, thanks for being here, man.
I got to do one thing before I go.
Absolutely.
I told you about Sam's podcast. I got to plug it.
You got to plug it.
I got to plug it. Guys, check out, a part of being the Battery is you also will have access to the Braves Dugout podcast by Sam Peoples. As I told you before, he is so knowledgeable. He knows so much, and he covers literally every aspect of the Braves. You can catch it on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere where you catch your podcast. Definitely check that out. You will even, if you go far enough into the history, see a appearance by me talking about the minor leagues and the prospects at the beginning of the season. So definitely check that out. It's well worth the listen.
If you think of it tonight, Bryan, post a link to that podcast right within the group, and we'll
Excellent.
get people, and I'll check out a couple episodes tonight.
Awesome.
All my Brewers fans friends are mad at me for wearing this hat because the Braves eliminated the Brewers yesterday. But like Bryan said, I'm a baseball fan first. I'm actually a Mets fan second and a Brewers fan third. So I've had fun celebrating Braves baseball tonight with Bryan. Good luck to the Braves in the National League Championship Series. They're going to face the Dodgers or the Giants. Game 5 of that is tomorrow. And then Game 1 of the Utopian Baseball Championship is Wednesday. And it's either going to be the Padres or a rematch with the Reds. So,
bring them on.
Yeah, let's do it. So everyone have a great night. Hopefully we'll see everyone come back tonight at 10:30 Central for Reds Padres. And Bryan, thanks again for being here. And we'll have you again very soon.
Thank you, Joey, man. It's been a pleasure, man. Have a good night.
All right, everyone have a great night. We'll see you at 10:30, Padres and Reds.
Awesome.